Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
This one disappoints me a little bit. A lot of people sent it to me, though. Thank you very much, including my friend Tom. And Michelle Chapman wrote this for the Associated Press. We've talked before about how the Federal Trade Commission was looking at how some businesses make it really, really hard to cancel subscriptions and services. And so signing up is quite easy, but when you go to cancel, it's almost impossible. Sometimes it might actually be impossible. So the Federal Trade Commission had proposed a rule called click to cancel, which said that it needs to be as easy to cancel as it was to sign up. And they had proposed this rule was going to go into effect. Sadly, the rule has been blocked by a court, and it was intended to make canceling subscriptions easier. So the click to cancel rule, which would have required businesses to make it easy for consumers to cancel unwanted subscriptions and memberships, has been blocked by a federal appeals court just before days before it was set to go into effect. The Federal Trade Commission's proposed changes, which were adopted back in October, required businesses to obtain a customer's consent before charging for memberships, auto renewals, and programs linked to free trial offers. The Federal Trade Commission said at the time that businesses must also disclose when free trials or other promotional offers will end and let customers cancel recurring subscriptions as easily as they started them. So there's several things in there. And some of these things you all know about this stuff, right? So, hey, we'll give you 6 months free and then another 6 months for $1 a month, after which it goes to $300 a week for the rest of your life. So you always look at that and go, okay, And then, of course, if you try to cancel at the very end and they don't let you cancel that easily, it can become a nightmare. The FTC's proposal was part of a Time is Money initiative, a government-wide initiative that was announced last year with the aim of cracking down on consumer-related hassle. The Federal Trade Commission rule was set to go into effect this week, but the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Eighth Circuit said that the FTC made a procedural error by failing to come up with a preliminary regulatory analysis which is required for rules whose annual impact on the U.S. economy is more than $100 million. Now, apparently, they say, the Federal Trade Commission, that they didn't do that analysis because, in their opinion, this was not going to affect the economy to the tune of $100 million. And trade groups said, no, this will affect the economy to the tune of $100 million. Which makes you then ask, oh, is that how much money they make by doing this? The Federal Trade Commission claimed it did not have to come up with a preliminary regulatory analysis because it initially determined that the rule's impact on the national economy would be less than $100 million. An administrative law judge decided that the economic impact would be more than the $100 million threshold. So the court decided to vacate the rule. The court wrote, while we certainly do not endorse the use of unfair and deceptive practices, negative option marketing, the procedural deficiencies of the Commission's rulemaking process are fatal to the rule. The Federal Trade Commission declined to comment. The agency is currently moving forward with its preparations for a trial, meanwhile, involving Amazon's Prime program. Trial stems from a Federal Trade Commission lawsuit that accuses Amazon of enrolling consumers in its program without their consent and making it difficult for them to cancel their subscriptions. The trial is expected to take place next year. So again, it's one of those situations where even if they are doing it, they get another year to stop and they'll see what happens. But this click to cancel thing, many people my age will remember America Online, AOL. You've got mail. And the thing about AOL was that they took marketing and offering free stuff to a whole new level, to the point where you'd go to your mailbox and there'd be 3 packages in your mail. They'd be kind of big and they'd have something in them that was a CD. And the CD, of course, was a free 100 hours of America Online if you want to try it. And you got those things everywhere. You got them at work. You got them at home. I'm surprised they weren't underneath the windshield wipers of cars and parking lots. And it became a joke as to how many of those AOL CDs you'd get, because you could sign up and take the 100 free hours. And yes, back in the old days, you had to actually worry about how long you were online for. And by the way, our modems were slow. 14.4 bauds. Dee-dee-dee-dee. So you got your 100 free hours. You burned that up pretty quickly. And now AOL's charging you to be online. And so what would happen is you'd burn through that pretty quickly. You get a couple bills. And then you get an offer from somebody else who says, oh, by the way, we got a better offer than AOL. And you go, oh, okay, I'll just cancel the AOL. And you call to cancel AOL. And the amazing thing is you get a human. They go, how can I help you? You go, I want to cancel. They go, no, you don't. You said, no, I do. I want to cancel. Why? I found a better offer. Well, here's the deal. We've got a new offer right now that if you stay with us, we'll give you another 100 free hours. And you go, well, the problem is I'm going to burn through that pretty quickly. Then we'll be calling you back. And they say, great, call us back then, we'll talk. But their job was to keep you from canceling. And if you said, no, I want to cancel, they'd say, well, let me pull up your file here. Click, 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 click. Okay, I see that you've been with us for so many months and you want to cancel and you're paying this much a month. What's the other offer? If you tell them, they go, oh, well, we can match that. And they would say anything to keep you from canceling. And if you started yelling at them, trust me, if you started yelling at them, I want to cancel, dirty words, I want to cancel, brackets, dirty words, they would say, okay, hang on a second. I'm going to let you talk to my manager. They'd put you on hold. And a few minutes later, another person picked the phone up. Hi, my understanding is that you're not happy with the service. What can I do for you? No, I want to cancel. Why? And they would just sit there and do that over and over again. And they would offer you more free time. They'd offer you discounts. They'd offer you all kinds of stuff. Meanwhile, every single day, you're getting more and more of these CDs in the mail. And I know people who would do games where they'd do the 100 free hours, and then when they started getting charged, they'd cancel, jumping through all the hoops, and the only way you'd make that work is you'd literally call them up and scream at them to cancel, and eventually they'd say fine. But if you didn't yell at them, if you literally just called them and spoke to them like a civil human being, you would get handed around from manager to manager. And by the way, none of them were managers. I saw articles about this, and they admitted that all they would do is they'd just hand you off the person next to them, one cubicle over. And there were documentaries done about this. And I remember seeing a guy who must have been in his 30s or 40s, and halfway through his phone call, the manager said, you don't really want to cancel. Let me talk to your mother. Guy's like, one, I'm an adult. Two, my mother's not here. And three, I want to cancel. Let me talk to your mother. I mean, just crazy stuff. And I believe they were being paid, the people answering the phones, for every person who called and didn't cancel, they'd probably get some kind of bonus or something. But it became a joke that if you want to find the poster child for the business where you could not cancel, because you couldn't do it, like you couldn't go to AOL's website and cancel. No. You got to call them. And so I like the click to cancel rule. I think that companies should be required to have someplace on their main page something that indicates to end the service, to cancel the service, you want out, click here and follow these instructions. And that should be on their homepage. Never is. It's almost always buried someplace else. Oh, you've got to go into the Who We Are page and look up regional offices, and then click on the regional office closest to you, and then look at the very, very bottom where it goes service, and click on that. And you'd never find it on your own. Funny enough, I found most recently that if you get yourself stuck in a situation like this, you can Google the question and get an answer. And you can often type in something like, how do I cancel this service? And quite often you'll see an answer that says, it's difficult, and you may have to go through 14 screens and talk to 3 different people, but here's what you do. So I hope they can revive this rule. I don't know if they will. We'll see what happens. But it seemed like a good idea. It was a beautiful dream while it lasted. But the click to cancel rule, intended to make canceling subscriptions easier, has been blocked by a court. Michelle Chapman wrote that for the Associated Press. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. It's a great thing when you realize you still have the ability to surprise yourself. Makes you wonder what else you could do that you've forgotten about.